The sun was blazing through the half-closed blinds when I heard her voice, soft, trembling, almost a secret the world wasn't meant to hear. "We're alone," she whispered, her hand resting lightly on the kitchen counter, her eyes searching mine for something she couldn't say out loud. My breath caught. There was a silence that stretched between us, filled with unspoken memories and years of what-ifs. I looked at her, my best friend's mother, and said quietly, "Just for a little while, if that's okay. If you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel, Kindness Journal." Stories like this remind us that sometimes the most unexpected hearts teach us what love and healing really mean. It all started on a warm Sunday morning in late spring, the kind of day when the world smells like freshly cut grass and possibilities. I had just come back to my old hometown after 8 long years. My name is Evan Callan, and once upon a time, this small town was everything I wanted to escape from. I left right after high school, chasing a dream in the city, leaving behind broken promises and one person I never got the chance to understand, Mrs. Nora Bennett, my best friend's mom. Back then, she was just Mrs. Bennett, the quiet woman who made the best pancakes, always humming old jazz tunes while the world outside her window seemed to fade away. I used to spend most of my teenage years at their house because my own ones, much of a home. My dad was distant and my mom left when I was 10. The Bennetts were different. They felt warm, real, alive. Her son, Liam, was my closest friend, the kind who'd sneak out at midnight with me just to watch the stars from the football field. But one evening changed everything. It was senior year. Liam's dad had been drinking again, shouting so loud the neighbors called the cops. I was there that night, standing helplessly in the hallway as Nora tried to calm him down. When he hit her, something inside me snapped. I grabbed his arm, yelling for him to stop. He turned his rage on me, and that was the last time I stepped into that house. Liam left town 2 weeks later. I followed soon after, and none of us spoke again. 8 years later, when Liam called to tell me his father had passed away, his voice was cold, stripped of emotion. He didn't ask if I'd come. Just said, "Mom could use some help," that was all. So I packed a small bag, took the next train, and found myself walking the same streets I once ran from. The Bennett house looked the same. White paint fading, wind chimes still, hanging by the porch, the same creaky step I used to trip over. When Nora opened the door, time seemed to slow. She was older, yes, but her eyes still had that soft blue light in them, the kind that made you feel seen. "Evan," she said, her voice almost breaking, "you came." Inside, the air smelled of lemon soap and old books. Liam wasn't home. He had to work a night shift out of town. "He'll be back tomorrow," she told me, setting down 2 cups of tea. I just didn't want to be alone tonight. There was something in her tone, a loneliness that felt heavier than grief. We sat at the old wooden table, the same one where she used to serve us breakfast before school. I watched her hands as she stirred her tea slowly, lost in thought. "You look like you've seen too much of the world," she said softly. "Maybe the world's seen too much of me," I replied. We both smiled faintly. As daylight faded, we talked about everything, the years we missed, the things we never said. She told me Liam was struggling, still angry, still carrying the ghosts of his childhood. She said she felt like she'd failed as a mother, that maybe if she'd been stronger, her family wouldn't have fallen apart. Hearing her say that shattered something in me. I reached across the table, placing my hand gently over hers. "You didn't fail," I said. "You held everything together when no one else did." I saw it, even when I was just a kid. Her eyes glistened with tears, and for a moment, I saw not my friend's mother, but a woman who had spent her whole life being brave for everyone but herself. Later that evening, the house grew quiet except for the soft hum of the refrigerator. The golden light of sunset spilled across the living room as Nora walked in, holding a photo album. "I found these in the attic," she said, sitting beside me on the couch. We looked through pictures of our high school days, Liam and me laughing at the lake, Nora smiling in the background, her hair caught by the wind. When she turned to a page with her wedding photo, she went still. "He wasn't always cruel," she whispered, tracing her husband's face with her finger. "But somewhere along the way, love turned into fear. I stayed because I thought I could fix it, but all I did was lose myself." Her voice cracked, and I could see the years of pain folded inside her. Without thinking, I said, You didn't lose yourself, Nora. You just forgot where you put your heart. That's when she looked at me, really looked. The room was bathed in soft amber light, and the silence between us felt alive. Then she whispered those words that made my chest tighten. We're alone. It wasn't temptation that lingered in her voice. It was relief. The raw, aching kind that comes from finally being able to breathe. I felt a storm of emotion, guilt, tenderness, confusion, compassion. So I said quietly, just for a little while, if that's okay. We didn't move closer, didn't do anything that broke the boundaries of decency. Instead, she leaned her head on my shoulder, and I felt her tremble. For the first time in years, she allowed herself to cry, not as someone's mother or widow, but as a woman who had finally stopped pretending to be okay. And I sat there, not saying a word, just letting her know she wasn't invisible anymore. That night, I stayed in the guest room. The walls still had the faint smell of paint and pine from years ago. I couldn't sleep, not because of guilt, but because something had changed. I realized how many people walk through life carrying stories they're too afraid to tell, waiting for someone to just listen. The next morning, sunlight filled the kitchen again. Nora was humming softly like she used to. She looked lighter somehow. I'm sorry about last night, she said quietly. I shouldn't have said what I did. I shook my head. Don't be. Sometimes we just need someone to remind us we're still here. When Liam returned later that day, he was surprised to see me. He hugged me awkwardly, thanked me for being there. For a few days, I helped fix the house, repainted the porch, repaired the fence, cleared out the attic. In those quiet hours, Nora smiled more often. She started baking again, calling neighbors she hadn't spoken to in years. It wasn't just healing, it was resurrection. Before I left, I found her sitting by the garden, pruning the roses. They're blooming again, I said. She nodded. They always do, once you give them light. There was a long pause before she added, You gave me light, Evan. Thank you. I didn't know what to say, so I just smiled. You already had it. You just needed someone to hold the mirror. As I drove away, I looked back one last time at the woman who had once been my best friend's mom, and now someone who reminded me that love isn't always romantic. Sometimes it's just being there when someone needs a reason to believe in kindness again. Months later, I received a letter from Nora. She wrote that Liam had decided to move back home permanently. They were rebuilding slowly. She ended her letter with a line that stayed with me. You reminded me that healing doesn't come from forgetting the past, but from forgiving it. If this story touched your heart, if you've ever met someone who reminded you that kindness still matters, please like this video, share it with someone who needs a little light today, and subscribe to Kindness Journal for more true and emotional stories that remind us we're not alone. Special request, drop a comment below sharing one moment when someone's kindness changed your life. Your story might inspire someone else today. Moral: sometimes the people we least expect become the ones who heal us the most. Not through romance or promises, but through simple, genuine human connection, the kind that whispers, you're not alone.